Come one, come all, and welcome to Tom's Trains. Today begins our documentary of an extensive journey as I attempt to fulfill a boyhood dream. The dream to build a model railroad. I begin my journey during the COVID-19 pandemic, and I am one of many people in the world with lots of time and little to do. And recently my daughter was born, and I had an epiphany. I could raise her with one of my many hobbies I've had since I was a child. If it could fill me with joy as a boy, then hopefully I can make some fond memories for her too. She is nowhere near old enough to get into cars just yet, but model trains you can get into at any age, in my opinion. Thus, I have time and extra motivations to get out my old trains and revive a childhood passion. Unfortunately, most of my trains are in Washington State, and I am in Illinois. But no matter, I have a set here and some track to get started with in the meantime. I plan on getting the rest over to where I am very soon. Much of what you will find in this show will be inspired by personal experiences, but I have other sources of inspiration, such as railfan video companies and big model railroad filmmakers, such as TM Books and Video and Pentrex. And I want to take a crack at producing similar films to theirs. So, if you like railfanning, layout showcases, and shows like I Love Toy Trains for kids, then you're in the right place. All trains will be in 3-rail O scale, and I intend to stick to Lionel for the most part. The railroad we are building will be called the FMR, short for Fictional Midwestern Railroad. This is because most of my inspiration for the layout I want to create comes from exposure to Midwestern railroads. The Chicago and Northwestern is my childhood favorite, which is why the first collectible train I ever got was a Lionel Legacy-equipped C&W-9. A close second is Santa Fe, which is why I have an old Atlas -840 BW. The war bonnet paint scheme is iconic to me, but me and my family also grew up with the Burlington Northern, so expect to see some green locomotives too. I also need to find some nice Canadian Pacific AC 4400s, but with MT8 shutting down, I may have to hope that Lionel will one day make them. But that is enough about the specifics of my small fleet. So what is the plan for the layout itself? The final layout in my head will be based on at least 3 real locations I have personally been to, or at the very least, seen on film. The reason for having at least 3 locations is to create the illusion of the trains traveling to different places. But because space is not unlimited, we will be using techniques such as compressed perspective, like in theater. The layout and the trains on it will be prototypical to the railroading you'd expect from 1993 to 2015 or 2020. I haven't quite figured out the top end yet, only the bottom end. This means you should expect mostly modern diesel power with a few rare but still prototypical exceptions. But how are things going to be right now? Well, right now, space simply isn't available for anything that I would call endgame. So we will be making do with Lionel's fast track system, and we will have a simple living room layout just big enough but not too big to put together and take apart multiple times. The hope is that this setup will be adequate for any product showcases we want to do in the future, because I have many more trains on the bucket list. I also plan to take you on rail fanning trips to catch some cool trains in real life and take tours of some of the coolest model railroads in the world. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tom Wood, and let's run some trains.